Looking for approval of the minutes of May 13th, 2019.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Anybody notice any corrections or deletions that need to be made? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. New business, request by WT Group LLC for courtesy review for the redevelopment of the former Hoffman Lane site at 80 West Higgins Road for the construction of a proposed Hertz car sales dealership. May we have your name and address, please?
My name is Chris Stark. I'm with WT Group. Address is 2675 Prattham Avenue in Hoffman Estates.
Thanks, Chris. Do you understand that your appearance before the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee shall not constitute any village board endorsement, support, or implied approval of the subject property, and that you also understand that the final project approval or denial shall only occur through official village board action?
I understand.
Okay. Please proceed.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm Chris Stark, and I'm with the WT Group. I'm a project manager working on this project, and I'm here to present the proposal for the proposed Hertz car sales facility at 80 West Higgins. In September 2018, a courtesy review was held by the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee for a previous proposal for the site, which would have included redeveloped the site for the use of a retail restaurant building and a second standalone restaurant and food user building. Since then, the plans and opportunities for us have changed, thus our request for a second courtesy review for the site. Regarding Hertz, Hertz Car Sales was founded in 1977 with the goal of using cars retiring from the Hertz rental fleet to build the best overall experience in buying affordable used cars. Hertz's expertise with the rental process, nationwide infrastructure, and large inventory allow them to offer first-class service, inventory, longevity, and reputation. Currently, the Hertz Car Sales owns and operates 84 used car dealerships nationwide with 4 dealership locations in Illinois, including Des Plaines, which was opened in 2012. Crystal Lake was opened in 2013, Chicago opened in 2015, and Schaumburg opened one in 2013, which Hertz would relocate to Hoffman Estates. The inventory on a Hertz car sales lot is predominantly comprised of Hertz retired vehicles from its rental fleet and is currently projecting $20 million of sales in the first year of business. Those vehicles are typically between 2 and 3 years old with approximately 30 to 40,000 miles on them, having an average selling price between $13,500 and $15,000. In 2018, the Illinois stores sold over 3,000 cars and had generated approximately $40 million worth in sales. They've paid over $3 million in state and local taxes, including $200,000 paid to Cook County and over $100,000 paid to the city of Chicago. This particular location would employ approximately 2 managers and 5 salespersons to start, but that number should grow as Hertz's sales efforts continue to grow. Based on Hertz, the used car sales model, they would like to continue and grow and expand into the village of Hoffman Estates. The goal is to be open for business in Q2 of 2020. And WT and Hertz will look forward to working with everybody involved to help them meet their goal. As most may know, the property was closed by WT Properties in November of 2018, and at that time, since then, we've had much interest. The interest in this property still continues to this day. Currently, Hertz is proposing a 4,200 square foot car sales building with provisions for 272 parking spaces, 32 of which will be for employees and customers, all on a 2.6 acre piece of property. Now that WT has full ownership of the site and the ability to test the market, we do feel that our current proposal is best option for the site, the developers, and the village. Additionally, with this proposal, we don't believe that we need any variations and believe that the village would get the most out of the sales tax dollars with the Hertz entity. Our current proposal includes a corporate Hertz car sales location, And it is important to know that to differentiate that this is a corporate dealership and not a leasing center. We will commit to a high-quality design and work towards a new car dealer look, and we'll strive to not make it look like your average car dealership on any given corner by doing landscape design, other landscape nuances, building design nuances that help accentuate the site. The key to make this successful for Hertz is the parking count. The site is able to provide more vehicle inventory than any other site that they have considered. Based on the parking supply that this offers, Hertz does project to start at $20 million per year and increase annually. With this projection, they are committing to a 10-year lease with multiple lease extensions. This is a relatively new model for Hertz. If this is approved by Hoffman, this will become home of one of the very first ground-up Hertz car dealerships in the nation. As mentioned, we have tested the market and have significant interest from other users. However, those users are other auto uses such as car washes and vehicle repair facilities. We've had inquiries from restaurants. However, the restaurant market has a strong preference to be located on the Gulf Road side of the shopping center, which we simply cannot provide based on the location of our site. Additionally, we'll be asking for the village to approve funds from the TIF district to be a part of our project, and we'll work out all of those details during the full review process. However, we intend to ask the village to approve the funds to improve and replace the regional storm sewer, which will help reduce flooding and the floodplain for this entire area. We will also ask that the village approve funds to assist in the demolition of this building, which we believe is in line with the intent of the TIF district. In summary, after testing the market, we do believe the current proposal provides the best options for the village, by generating sales tax, and bringing a well-known, well-respected corporate tenant with a long-term commitment to the location and the community. So, in summary, we will ask for your support to proceed with our full submittal, and if all goes well, we will present to the board in a couple of months and hope to begin demolition and site work late this summer.
Chris, you indicated that WT Group LLC owns the property now, is that correct?
That is correct.
And they're going to,
Property Schaumburg 1 owns it.
and they're going to continue to own this site?
Yes,
And they're leasing it to Hertz for 10 years, is that my understanding? Okay.
that is correct.
Sure, trustee Palafis.
I appreciate your comments, that you think it's the best site or option for the village. And I just don't want to see another predominant corner turn into another parking lot, for a used sales car auto dealership. Especially for a new concept and, some of the other things that we foresaw going there. I can't buy into the concept. It reminds me of the enterprise proposal for Max Nurma's and Metropolis, now Moretti's. And in that case, I'm glad we waited. I think this is another opportunity for that. I understand the sales tax part as the chair of finance, that wins me over, but not enough. We have empty dealerships right across the street that won't sell, and they could do the same thing. They could pull out of their lease early and leave it empty and not sell it to anybody, and then we're stuck with another empty parking lot. So I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan. I'd love to hear what else you have. And you said you had a lot of interest for a lot of other things, but not this one.
Well, you've heard one person. Mayor, you have something?
I pretty much concur with trustee Palafis. I'm not thrilled about this proposal.
Trustee Newell?
No.
Trustee Gata?
I'm neutral on the whole thing.
Anyone else here next to me? Karen?
Well, it doesn't thrill me to see another used car dealership coming in. But now, just a couple of questions that I would ask, though. You have to have some type of a auto repair facility within it in order to because of what our ordinance states?
Well, yeah, I did see that, and I did present that option to Hertz, and they specifically said that they will not be operating on cars at this particular facility. All the car repairs and all car prep will be done off-site.
Okay, but if we have that into our code, that there be some type of vehicle service component. So how are we going to avoid that?
Okay,
That
well,
would be
I mean-
something that needs to be discussed and addressed if you do get in for a site review.
Yeah, and they do have an option for that type of a service in a building of this size. They just chose for this particular submittal that they were going to exclude that.
My concern too, and I think trustee Stanton kind of agrees, we both agreed to it, that yellow is just so striking against the white, it's almost,
Oh, sure. And there's options that we can do. We can raise and lower, the white and the yellow to
Yeah.
minimize the visual impact.
I think what I wanted was a toned-down yellow if we're going to have yellow.
Yeah.
Not so bright of yellow.
That's,
no fluorescent lights.
yeah,
yellow.
that is doable. And Hertz did mention that they are actually undergoing some color scheme changes as well.
Good.
So it's not as brazen as it appears to be.
The other concern I had is where you are doing your car storage on the back of the lot. It's just rows and rows of cars, and you're coming into one of our main entrances into town. And it's hard to visualize how that's going to appear. Because it doesn't look like they're hidden in any way. Are you going to put fencing around that also then, around the back portion of the lot?
Yeah, right now, fencing wasn't a thought, but a bunch of landscaping is.
Okay, 'cause
So
I know
right
these
now-
are just very preliminary drawings,
Yeah,
but
it is.
I would definitely want, if this were to come forward, I would definitely want to see some better visuals on the site.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of those better visuals too is improving that front corner at the southeast corner of that property, where that bridge is. We are increasing the size of that green area.
Okay. I tend to agree that I would have liked to have seen something different coming in there, but it's something that we'll see where it goes to.
All right.
Okay, that's it.
I mean, my first impression, and I told Mr. Tripp on this when I saw him out in Nevada, was I wasn't necessarily thrilled with the fact of this coming in here, another used car dealership in this spot. I've talked to Mr. Norris since then, and I'm ambivalent right now at this point. So if you want to go forward with it, that's totally up to you guys. You've got at least 4 people here that seem to be ambivalent, and 3 that don't necessarily seem that they want it. So,
Well, I'll be honest, I'd want to see improvements to the site.
Yeah, and
That's
we're
what I'm-
certainly
the way
work
I
with
am right
everybody
now.
here on the board and work with the staff to better that. to
Definitely
come up
some
with-
better visuals there. Okay.
It's our second one, but this is something
Much
that
better than the first one, I have to say.
that we're leaning towards and further developing.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it takes, redesigning the building, to a little less, color dominance, that would be, we're certainly open to that.
what made Hertz want to move from Schaumburg to our location?
I don't know that.
Okay,
I don't.
but for whatever reason, they're interested.
Yeah.
Trustee Palafis?
That was one of my 2 questions. All the site improvements that you mentioned, you want the village to pay for out of the TIF.
I believe that that's eligible for the TIF.
Okay, so eligible, we're saying the same thing though, right? Okay.
Yes, sure.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, because it's helping the surrounding area and crossing 2 or 3 properties in order to do so.
Understood.
Mr. Norris?
The only thing that we talked to WT about was the storm sewer that actually is on Hoffman Plaza, the one that Sterling was supposed to do. Because that going in and the Twin 54 is being upgraded across that site, helps them in terms of the amount of developable area on their site. That's something that's an eligible expense. It's something that's already been endorsed by the board in another redevelopment agreement that will go. Then they talked about demolition. No other site improvements, no other site cost. No landscaping of the other has been talked about or contemplated, just to clarify.
Thank you.
From staff standpoint.
Thank you. Trustee Palafis.
But today, that's what he's asking for. I know what you guys have done in conversations.
He's not. He was just confused.
He just said
on
he
what-
was.
He was confused on what he was asking.
Oh, okay, and you cleared it up for him.
I am.
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Yes.
On the last page of our packet has the engineering for the twin 54s. And I imagine your group probably might have, well, did prepare this, so the engineering, and I just have one question. On the western side of the shopping center lot, the twin 54s take a real hard left. Engineering-wise, does that work for the flow of the water? Can you do that?
Well, I can't answer that, but I did bring my civil engineer here to address that issue, if you'd like.
It would be nice information,
Well,
because
what
we're
I-
going to be working on it.
He can answer, but technically, we don't usually get in that level of detail to courtesy review, and their plans haven't been submitted to staff to review yet. I'm sure that's something Alan will handle.
Yeah.
I think we can wait. Anyone else with any questions up here? All right. Well, Chris, thank you for your time and coming up here and giving us an idea of what's you plan to put there.
I appreciate your time.
All right, second on our new business is a request by BK Equities LLC for A, approval of a development agreement for the 53-acre Hoffman Technology Park located on the north side in Lakewood Boulevard, and B, a resolution supporting a Cook County Class 6B classification for property tax assessment purposes for the proposed facility to be located on the north side of Lakewood Boulevard.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Pete, do you want to tell us what this is about?
Sure. So you saw a courtesy review for this last month. So at that time, they'd walk through their presentation for a technology park on the 53-acre site on Lakewood Boulevard on the north side. The plan, as they presented it last time, what they talked about was the critical need for a 6B tax classification from the county, which is something we've done on all the other industrial projects on the north side of the tollway there, in the Huntington 90 Park, and a few others. So that's something they talked about and provided a lot of background on. As part of requesting for that tax classification, the developer also had made the commitment that they would upgrade landscaping and architectural appearance along Lakewood Boulevard, as well as on the buildings in general. So the development agreement they're presenting is really to document and kind of solidify that commitment that they're making to go above and beyond our code for some items. And they feel that's important, as did we, to do that hand in hand with the 6B request. That tax request, and they can speak to this more, but that will allow them really to go forward with this project. And obviously in this environment, in the county, economically, it's pretty much a critical component of a project like this. So the agreement itself is really just set up to document those commitments they've made. It was actually worked on with legal and staff. We put this together and are in concurrence with all the technical details in it. So it's in a state of being ready for approval at this time. And Kevin can speak to the 6B resolution if there's questions on that.
Kevin, why don't you just speak to it?
Yeah, it's like Pete said, it's the same thing that this board has committed to in the past. You're not approving the 6B, you're giving support to their application, which goes to the county. And it's that 12-year abatement of their property taxes. In there, we included their application for the 6B as well. And towards the end of it, you can see that property taxes now, as compared to after the 12th year, are somewhere in the 1,000% thousands % more than what they are paying now. 68,000 total now to, I think it's 12 or 13 million later. So this is, like I said, something that this board has done before, and it's no different. The only slight difference here is it's for a spec development, but like Pete said, we have this redevelopment agreement to make sure that it's not for large truck users.
Is anybody from BK Equities LLC want to address us there? Could you give your name and address for us?
Sure. Bill Fossone, 6250 River Road, Rosemont, Illinois. I was here last month when we did the courtesy review. Thank you. And, as Pete and Kevin said, the 6B is something that in today's market in Cook County, it's a given. You have to have that to even start the project. You can't get your financing. Tenants won't come if if they don't have that in place, they'll just move on down the road. They'll go to Schaumburg, they'll go to another community where they have 6Bs, because the tax differential for an industrial building goes from over $4 to, a little over $2. So it's about half the number. It's definitely one of those things that without it, this development would not move forward. So happy to answer any other questions.
Trustee Palafis.
On the 53 acres, I see two pins. Are you actually putting two properties together with that 53 acres? So I know there's another 40 acres. Is that the piece in between?
That's the piece in between that.
Two parcels that the church owns.
Yeah.
Who is
Oh.
the seller.
Okay,
The
Yes,
two
I think-
parcels are all within the 53 acres.
gotcha.
The acreage
seller.
next east of there is still owned by Fanuc.
Oh, it is. So Fanuc owns all the way up to this property then? I couldn't remember where the lines ended and began, so thanks for that clarification. I think it looks like a great proposal.
Trustee Mills?
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate that this resolution then, the development agreement requires that it cannot be large truck usage.
Right.
How soon do you feel you will be able to close on the property if this is all approved?
Probably in August,
Okay, and how soon do you think you'll be bringing plans in?
probably early fall.
Okay,
We might start doing some land development work this fall before the weather changes, but really probably won't get in the ground with foundations until next spring.
okay. Thank you.
There's a lot of land development work to be done
I'm
with the
sure there
wetlands
is,
and
yeah.
stuff.
How soon would a building be occupied or completed and occupied?
Completed would probably be late summer, like about a year from now,
Wonderful.
and then occupied, we hope the day after that.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Trustee Palafis.
Just one additional question. I know Myers, Pete, has the length of my arm, all kinds of different, cans and can'ts dues. This is one of those that are, palatable. It doesn't, it doesn't cross over anything that they don't want to
Right.
do.
They don't, well, first of all, they have no legal rights over this property at all, so they don't have any say-so in what happens here. I'm not aware of anything in their agreement on their own property that would really be in conflict with this, including back in the day when they actually proposed a store, the back of the store would have been up against this property, so I don't really see any incompatibility there based on anything we've ever heard from them.
No, the development agreement for Meyer doesn't address this property at all, separate parcel, completely.
And then even if some of those things were called out, most of those agreements have aged off, right? I mean, that was right before,
There's a few years,
Almost?
yeah, a few
Almost.
years left.
a few years left. That was right before Ann and I showed up. So, I read the big red binder, and that has all those stuff, all those different agreements, but I knew it was close.
Done your homework, that's good. It
I,
is close.
Well, I did my homework like 8 years ago, but I'm trying to recall, some of those documents and when they aged off. So it's likely then that those could fully age off if Meyer, as a neighbor, does something. I was just wanting to make sure there weren't any hidden gotchas, and,
Not at all.
okay.
My understanding is 4 more years are left.
Pardon me?
4 more years are left on the language.
No, it was, the agreement was November 2003. So, yes, 4 plus.
3.5
Yeah, we'll round down.
and counting.
Round down.
Is there anybody from the audience that wishes to address us on this? No? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Good luck. All right, we have reports. We have 3 of them for information only. Planning Division Monthly Report. Anybody, any questions on that? That'll be received and filed. Code Enforcement Division Monthly Report. Any questions from anyone? That'll be received and filed. And Economic Development and Tourism Monthly Report. Any questions for Kevin on that? That'll be received and filed. President's Report.
Yes, we have Hoffman Estates' own State Representative Fred Crespo here. Fred, do you want to, anything you want to bring forward, or?
After 5 months of Springfield, that's why I'm surrounded by friends today.
We are surrounded by friends. Representative Crespo, I didn't call you trustee, see? Also have the Mayor of South Barrington, Paul McCumbee here. Do you have anything you're concerned about, Paul?
Nope, just wanted to find out what's going on at Lakeview and happy about the use that's going to occur there, so.
Okay, that's great. I did get a couple of emails that came in. One from a gentleman who lives on the west side of Hoffman Estates, and said, I wanted to say I'm glad you held the Spring Awakening in Hoffman Estates, and I hope it brought good business for the surrounding community. So that's always good to receive. Also, we have, once again, I thank you for Public Works. Mr. Nebel, Mr. Norris, and I got a email from a couple who live on the north side, and said that they had a wonderful experience with Public Works last Tuesday in the early morning hours. We were awakened by a severe storm and a strange noise. We looked out the window to find that a large parkway tree had toppled over into our yard, luckily missing our home. We had a very restless night worrying about this problem, hoping that the village would help and not knowing for sure. I called immediately at 8 a.m. and was reassured that a crew would be out to take care of it. Less than 45 minutes later, a crew of 6 were at my door cutting it apart, limb by limb, so as not to damage any of my landscape and or grass. I was amazed at the professionalism, kindness, and the meticulous manner which they took care of it. When they returned on Thursday to remove the stump again, I was struck by their level of expertise, working diligently to remove it without disturbing the nearby mailboxes and sidewalk. We're so thankful to be residents of this wonderful village. The Public Works Department deserves our gratitude for all the work that they do in both in front of the residents and behind the scenes. So we did have, we had a big event, the Spring Awakening, this past weekend. It went very well. We had huge crowds. There weren't problems. It was a very well-behaved crowd. Trustee Palafis and Trustee Gata and I went out there, and we were probably the 3 uncoolest dudes that were at Spring Awakening, but, you know, we just wanted to check it out for ourselves, and it was a very, very great crowd. Very, very happy with the way it turned out. And
Did you like the music?
I don't really know. I'm more of a Frank Sinatra fan myself. I was afraid to ask for any Sinatra. I figured they'd throw me out. So let's see what else we got going. We got Thursday, June 13th. It's the second summer concert season. The second event will take place, the Hopper Jazz Tet, the resident faculty jazz ensemble out of Western Illinois University. So concerts are free. Everybody coming out and check it out. This Saturday, we're going to have the Hoffman Estates Chamber of Commerce. They're having on June 15th their community fishing derby. So that's right at Freeman and Mumford. It's always a really good event, and hope folks will check that out. Okay, let's see, in the past week, on Tuesday the 4th, we had our Celtic Fest Commission meeting, and also we had a Code 3 at Willow Rec Center for the fire that took place up on the north side on Bordeaux and Charlemagne. Those are always very informative, and I think the people love hearing, you know, exactly what happened, listening to the tapes, the transcriptions of what was said and what people were doing. I always found it very enlightening. And Wednesday the 5th, I attended the Municipal Conference Executive Board meeting, and on Thursday the 6th, The ComEd folks came in and gave us their annual report. Things have been going pretty good with ComEd. Thursday afternoon, most of us were able to go to the wake for Officer Doman. Very sad event. He is sorely missed. He was a great officer. And that evening, we had the retirement party for Georgiana Muir of Wintrust Community Bank, and we were able to provide her with a proclamation honoring all her service to our great community, and she will not be a stranger and will still be involved in things. So that's all I have for now.
Thank you. We have nothing in other items in review, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned.
I'd like to go ahead and call the General Administration and Personnel Committee for the Village of Hoffman Estates for June 10th, 2019. Can I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Arnett.
Present.
Vice Chairman Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. If I can get approval of the minutes for May 13th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Have any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. One new item in new business, discussion regarding legislative update.
The 101st General Assembly has recessed or ended, actually concluded might be the better word, and no one this year could complain that the legislature didn't do anything. They did an awful lot, actually have a budget passed on time, which is a wonderful thing as a municipal corporation to actually be able to look and see what's going to happen from our perspective because of the state budget. I understand Dan gave an update last Monday night, so I don't intend to go into it in any detail, other than saying that from a village financial standpoint, we are going to be better off on multiple fronts. The online sales tax legislation that's passed is going to significantly benefit us. We can't give you a dollar amount yet. The graduated income tax, if the constitutional amendment passes, will create more income tax, which means the set aside for municipalities will grow, which means we'll end up with more on a per capita basis. The legislature did pass in the capital bill. There's a little bit over $1 million in specific projects that our area legislators advocated for us that we will receive funding for. I understand Trustee Palafis asked about MFT last week, and there's a little nuance in the bill. There is a distribution formula, so it's not quite a doubling that was originally talked about. It's maybe like a 3/4 increase, but it's still fantastic, and is going to provide the village the ability to do actually more roads than we do now in the future. So all in all, from a village standpoint, the legislature definitely worked on our behalf this year, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Do you have any questions?
Hey, Fred, do you want to give us a rundown?
Thanks for your help on everything, Representative Cressman.
We do, thank you.
Yes. Nobody else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Norris. We'll move on to reports for information only. Number one is the Cable TV monthly report. We'll go ahead and receive and file that. Number two is the Human Resources Management monthly report. Anything to add, Patrick? Thank you. We'll receive and file that. Number three, Legislative Operations and Outreach monthly report. Deferral requested. Yes.
Move to defer.
Second.
Thank you. We will go ahead and defer that. Anything else in the president's report?
Nothing else.
Okay. I see nothing in other. No
Actually-
items.
Trustee Arnett?
Trustee Palafis. Do we?
We had a motion.
I think we have a.
Yeah, we did.
We need to have a vote on the
that.
deferral.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Trustee Palafis.
Thanks. I have an other request that I just thought of, but because I think it might fall under legal. Arlington Heights condemned a couple of automobile sales lots that didn't want to sell. I'd like us to investigate what we can do to the Rorson lots to model. So at some point, could we put that on an agenda? Because I'd like to see those Rorson lots go to something else.
Rorman,
Whatever they are, Rorman, Rorson.
sold to Warren Buffett,
Great. So
just for,
that scares me. But it'd be nice, if we could model or see what Arlington Heights did to free up their properties here. Is that clear?
he's,
No,
So in Arlington Heights, they had a couple of auto dealership lots that were just being held, and they wouldn't sell. And we have a lot of requests for, additional auto dealerships. They want to turn all of Central Hoffman into a parking lot. And those two lots have been empty for years now, and they won't sell. So what Arlington Heights did is somehow they condemned the properties to apparently free them up from, being held down without a use. And I'd like to see if we have options to do something similar.
yes, there are options. However, that particular area of the law, going back a number of years ago, I believe there was a downstate racetrack.
Yep.
And I believe the local community down there used a condemnation proceedings to get property that was private property so that it could be used for, I think, additional parking at the racetrack.
right.
And under the basis that it was an economic development program. That did not pass muster. So there are other examples where government has used condemnation to turn private property for economic development, and it has been approved. So I guess what I'd have to say is we can look at it. I think it's going to be very fact-specific, and I think it kind of depends how it's set up and what goes on. So the answer is maybe yes, maybe no.
Just even if it's on one of Karen's future meetings for discussion. I'd just like to know how Arlington Heights did it successfully.
I would suggest that it's an executive session because you're basically potentially threatening litigation.
Okay.
And-
Well, then it's already out in the open. Yeah.
Acquiring property
Right.
would be better.
Understood. I'm just,
Acquisition of property through litigation.
Wouldn't it also be wise to at least find out what Mr. Buffett wants to do with the property?
Yeah, and it
Before we
could be
do anything?
different, because Mr. Rorman's philosophy is he was keeping competition out by not selling them or allowing them to be purchased for everything. His whole entire empire, and if I remember right, he was the single largest car conglomerate in the country. And that's why it caught the attention of Mr. Buffett, obviously. So, and they may want to look at it from an asset standpoint that's not producing. It's just sitting there. So, that from I've been told, that's a fairly recent occurrence. I heard about it for the first time at the ICSC. So we need to research more.
if there's a more peaceful process, despite my background, I'm all for that. I don't want to draw swords if we don't have to. But I just,
bayonets.
it just didn't seem like, so, but based on what Jim said, somebody really rich could go into a town, buy up all the, property, and then, never want to, and if it was used for, auto sales lots, never sell it to anybody else who wants the same use. And it basically do a lockout. And I understand, free enterprise and capitalism.
But as Corporation Counsel said, there are ways in different fact circumstances, including legitimate public purposes.
Right.
Fire station relocation.
Sure.
Things of that nature come to mind that would make it totally justifiable to do it that way. But let's look at
Yeah.
the things.
Okay, thank you. Sorry it took so long to get there, but I wasn't really sure. I wasn't really sure what I was asking for, so that was part of it.
That's okay, it won't be the first time for me to, so. Okay, so we do have a motion and a second for item number 3. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Do we have anything in President's report?
Nothing else.
Okay, I see nothing in other, no items in review. May we have a motion for an adjournment?
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned.
Continuing on, I look for a motion, look to call the Transportation and Road Improvement Committee to order for June 10th, 2019. Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Mills.
Present.
Vice Chairman Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you. I would look for a motion to approve the minutes of May 13th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any corrections, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Tonight, we have one item under new business, and that is request approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Cook County for funding of capital projects.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Hanky, did you wish to just mention what this is all about?
Just a quick summary. This dates back to the end of last year when we responded to a request from then Commissioner Schneider's office for any ideas that we had about potential capital projects that would be funded in a similar way that MFT eligibility applies. So we had submitted two ideas. One was a structural overlay of Clover Lane, which was not originally in the scope of the street project for this year. And the second was completion of the Phase 2 engineering for the Shoe Factory Road path, as well as using a portion of those funds towards construction. We did learn earlier this year that that money is available and that an intergovernmental agreement is required in order for that money to be available for the village. So essentially, we can do these projects on our own. We provide documentation to Cook County as to the costs and the expenditures, and it works on a reimbursement program. There's an initial dollar amount that's available once the IGA is approved, which recommended, if it's recommended for approval tonight and approved next week by the board, would likely go to the county board in July. So these would be ways that we could leverage some money that we hadn't anticipated having access to previously, benefit the road improvement program, and then the old Prairie Stone capital funds would be reduced, the amount would be reduced given the availability of the money through this particular proposal.
Mayor?
Yeah, I'd like to thank County Commissioner Morrison for following through on this deal that was originally came up under, when Commissioner Snyder was there. I appreciate his honoring this project for us. He's been very, very helpful.
Correct.
The
Good.
issues we have of concern in Hoffman Estates.
Hopefully, we'll work well with them over the next 4 years, too.
Sure we will.
Any other questions? Thanks, Mr. Hanky, for the information. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We have one report this evening, and that is the Transportation Division Monthly Report. Mr. Hanky, on, just bringing this up, on the Barrington Road interchange, I've noticed, now I haven't been out there for the last week or so, so it may have been cleared up by now, but when you get off the westbound ramp up to Barrington Road going south, there's that little corner there where you, before you turn, it's so full of garbage. Who's
Oh, it's still
responsible for the cleanup over there?
Right, that's on the list of the things that the contractor needs to address.
Okay, he really needs to do something. It looks horrible. So I appreciate any
I'll
little
pass that on to them again.
impetus you can put on that. Thank you. Because I think I saw something on Facebook the other day, too, somebody mentioning, I think on the other side, but we just caught that the other day when we were going through there. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Trustee Palafis?
I promise it's the last one. And only Mr. Hanky, seeing you made me think of the question because I ran into a fellow resident at a party this weekend, and he was very passionate about the airplane noise that is new over town. Not new, but, within maybe the last couple of years since they extended the runways, and, now when we have easterly winds, they turn the traffic appropriately. But it's created more airplane noise. Do we, and this might be a far out there request, but do we get any kind of report or anything as to,
Bless you.
or any kind of data? I don't even know what I'm asking for, but of, not planes that fly over our town, but which runways are used and, their path in and out, if you will. And, they come in, he said at like 4,800 feet, which was impressive. He was very knowledgeable. I think he's spoken to you before. Or maybe I just connect you guys. But it seems like, that there's been an increase. And I didn't have any data points to arm myself other than to just listen.
Sure. We do still serve as a member of the O'Hare Noise Compatibility Commission. Actually, anyone has access to the reports that they provide. So there's a monthly summary that I believe addresses exactly what you're saying, which is runway utilization, which is affected to a great degree by wind direction. So there's also a flight tracker option on the O'Hare Noise website, which operates about at a 20-minute or so delay, but it allows you to zoom into any area. It shows the aircraft patterns, and you can click on the icon of the moving airplane, and it tells you things like the flight number, the altitude, and data like that. So yeah, there's a lot of information available on the organization, the ONCC website, oharenoise.org. But if he wants to get in touch with me, I'd be happy to direct him towards that. The other thing is that we do encourage anyone who has issues with airport noise to use the complaint system that O'Hare has set up, the City of Chicago has set up, which allows reporting either online or by phone. And that's tracked and a part of the monthly summaries that are done by the airport staff.
So when you go to those meetings, would they say, Mr. Henke, we've had 237 reports of, noise from Hoffman Estates? Or do they call it out? Do they take action? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it is listed by community, and the Hoffman Estates-based complaints, for those who choose to give an address, are quite honestly extremely low.
Yeah.
Probably less than 10, many cases less than 5, in many cases 0 complaints per month. This is out of a total of about 10,000 plus complaints that are registered. So I understand that each area is unique from an individual's perspective, but in the context of the entire area, it's not nearly as severe as the issue here as it is closer in. And for those communities that live or are situated east of the airport, with the opening of the new northern, well, not the northernmost, but the next to northernmost runway, the northwest side of Chicago, Park Ridge, those areas have seen a significant increase in air traffic.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of very detailed information available on the website that probably would be useful.
Okay. If you could send us one of those runway reports or the link. Anna showed me the.
The link is
remote.
oharenoise.org.
Yeah. I just didn't know if that's where the report, is that where the reports are?
It is.
Okay,
But I'd be happy to send
Yeah, I'll
whatever
hit
the
that
most recent
website.
one is.
Okay.
And Trustee Stanton?
Mike, I'm noticing that Pace Route 612 is only garnering about 6 people on average per day. How long are they going to keep doing that before they decide that's not enough to keep it viable?
So I've just spoken with our PACE liaison recently, and he let me know that they are planning a public hearing for Route 612 and Route 599, which is the on-demand, but that's not a bad thing. It's a procedural issue that they're reclassifying the route from a demonstration operation to one of their established or regular circulator routes. So they're required by law to go through that public process. I believe the PACE grant that included funding for the network of services that were implemented on I-90 and connecting has a couple more years to go through the federal funding. So we're looking for ways to try to improve that. mainly through continued marketing of the presence of the route for both residents and businesses. So they are not looking at any actions as of this point.
Good, okay.
Anything else? Did we need to, do we want to put anything regarding the Canadian National meeting that was held with Army Corps? Were you at that, Mr. Hanky?
I was not, but our senior transportation engineer, Joe Wiesner, was there, and
There's no response from
I
them.
was there too.
Yeah,
and the mayor, yeah.
and no response on anything yet regarding.
Oh, they were just
what came up?
taking
Information.
testimony from people.
Okay.
Correct.
We're not
Right.
happy, obviously.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? All right, that report will be taken and filed, and it's information only will be filed accordingly. Is there President's report anymore?
Nothing else, trustee Mills?
And we have nothing else under items in review for this committee? Anything else to come before it? Seeing none, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.